I was considering doing a proper Bioshock Infinite review, but I think enough time has passed since the game's release that it might not be relevant anymore. Instead, what I'd like to do is count myself publicly among the dissenters, to stand up and say what many are thinking but are hesitant to say amongst crowds and crowds of game bro dudes busy blowing their wads all over the sea of 10 out of 10s. Bioshock isn't anything great or special, and, wait for it, Bioshock the First sucked a big fat one. I'm flabbergasted with all the immediate, succinct praise for Bioshock Infinite. Nowhere did I see any sort of objectivity in reviews of the game. Just massive rivers of proverbial jizz being spewed everywhere as everyone jerked it, moaning slowly, whispering art direction, while hunched over Ken Levine photoshops printed from DeviantArt. Yeah, games have graphics. Sure, Infinite has good graphics. They should, because they spent millions of dollars on it and hired a group of really talented artists. Call of Duty has amazing graphics too, but I never hear anyone say anything about how awesome Call of Duty looks. I've never heard anyone say anything about art direction until Infinite released. I think what you meant was, I like graphics, but I'm a hipstery douche that happens to play games, so I'll call it art direction and we'll mention it in every conversation about the game henceforth. Do any of you even know what an art director does? That's a rhetorical question. No, you do not. Shut your fucking talk hole. Oh, but those other games just aren't deep like Bioshock, man. It deals with politics, social issues. Big fucking deal. It's certainly not the first game to do so. Sure, it has a plot and some interesting characters, and the third act and conclusion are pretty strong and makes a statement that lingers after the game is done, but it's not the greatest thing to grace gaming ever in the history of ever. It has flaws. Many of them. Big ones, too. While everyone was busy talking about how awesome Elizabeth was and how her AI was amazing, they forgot how the enemy AI practically shit the bed and straight up wasn't that great. While everyone was saying how awesome the game looked, they failed to mention that all the guns are missing a sense of weight. They feel like plastic guns and feel shitty to use. You know, gameplay shit. Important shit. And don't get me started on game design. I can forgive the fact that by the end of the game, Booker DeWitt isn't morbidly obese and diseased after eating nearly 16 tons of food off the fucking ground and in garbage cans. But there are so many sequences where I feel like I'm being guided through a fucking tunnel, or being led through a sequence of bullshit that serves no other purpose than to pad game length, or because it's a game and we can do game stuff. Specifically the sequence with Elizabeth detouring to a crypt to obtain a hand, to get in a Comstock house, running into a ghost, making you kill it amongst hordes of the dead, feels so out of place and weird. Nothing else in the game even borders on the supernatural. Then out of nowhere, ghosts and zombies. I can get over the multiple dimensions thing and the circular nature of the narrative that's abruptly ended at the game's finale. The fact that the game's world is built on the foundations of America itself as a religion in a floating sky city is an insane and clever concept to begin with. But then suddenly you stop to hang out with fucking ghosts and zombies. Why? Because video games, dog. This fits in with nothing else in the game. It makes me feel like I'm not an inhabitant of the game world anymore, but rather I'm being designed at, in a ridiculous fetch quest that I've already played a bazillion times over in every other game. You can't progress because you need the thing. Go get some stuff from the not here and combine them in the next area because backtracking and video games. That's not immersion, that's bullshit. And for the record, the scenario I mockingly just described is ripped right from the first Bioshock, which suffered the same problem, proving that 2K doesn't learn from its mistakes in world building and immersion, something I'm fairly certain was overlooked by, oh, I don't know, just every reviewer in the goddamn universe. Look, I didn't make this video to purposely shit all over Bioshock. It's not 2K's fault. After all, they tried to make the best game they possibly could with the ample resources they had, and for what it's worth, they did a decent job. The game still stands head and shoulders above most games of its ilk. No, I'm looking squarely at reviewers and douchey gamers who can't stop talking about how awesome it was, buying into this circle jerk that it's a classic franchise and nothing will ever be as good. Whenever I tell people I hate the original Bioshock, I get the stink eye first, followed quickly by the question, well, when did you play it? What the hell kind of question is that? If the game is as classic as you proclaim it to be, can it stand the test of time? I always get told I played it too late, or I must have had it spoiled, or some other reason to justify why their pristine image of Ken Levine's ballsack on their face is coming into question. Nope, I just generally hated the first one, and if it can't hold up today, then it begs the question of what will become of Infinite 5 or 10 years from now. I think we're all going to look back at those 10 out of 10s and see how silly it really was. As for the rest of you so-called journalists just now coming down off your euphoric circle jerk over in the 2K parking lot, 2013 isn't even over yet. The fucking game came out in March, and immediately everyone was like, holy shit balls, instant classic, game of the year. You look ridiculous. You look like Kanye at the VMAs going, hey yo, 2013, I'm gonna let you finish, but Bioshock was the greatest game of all time. No, it's not. You look dumb. Stop doing what you're doing. There are plenty of games with the potential to be better than Bioshock this year. As for my personal review, 7 out of 10. It's alright, it looks fine, but it has issues and flaws, and it's really far from perfect.